The President. Members' motion with no legislative effect. Honorable Chan Hok-fung's motion on promoting rural tourism. 4 members will move amendments to the motion. This Council will proceed to a joint debate on the motion and the amendment. Later, I will first call upon Honorable Chan Hok-fung to speak and move the motion. Then I'll call upon Honorable Kenneth LAU, Honorable Chan Yuet-ming, Honorable Chung-hung, and Honorable Pak-leung to speak in sequence, but they may not move the amendments at this stage. The joint debate now begins. Members who wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button. And I'll call upon Honorable Chan Hok-fung to speak and move the motion. President, I move that the motion as printed on the agenda be passed. Hong Kong is an international popular destination. Tourism has been injecting impetus into our economy. We have 33 million visitors, an increase by about 12% as at last month. With the change in travel and spending patterns, we need to consider new travel models and new resources. Developing rural tourism is the new trend. We have plenty of islands. We have the favorable condition to develop featured tourism. In the 2024 policy address, as well as the Tourism Development Blueprint 2.0, they talked about developing island tourism, looking into heritage and relics. This will enhance tourist experience and boost our competitiveness. The DAB made proposal in the policy address that there should be the use of beaches. The beaches can be open for tender. Operators will have to provide basic services so that visitors will be able to use the basic facilities at the beaches for free of charge. And at designated locations, commercial activities and leisure activities can be organized. I thank the Chief Executive for taking on board our proposals. In the policy address, he talked about looking into using certain beaches on a pilot basis for them to be run on a business model. We've also made proposals in relation to running homestay lodges. For small houses with occupation permit, they can be run as homestay without major conversion as long as they have registered. This will provide additional choices for our visitors. In addition, we have beautiful coastline, we have beautiful natural landscape, we have a rich cultural heritage. There is potential for us to diversify and develop tourism products with special features. This will be our new growth point, so we can develop island tourism. Together with our branches, we have visited islands to collect views from residents. We have communicated with village leaders. We have made proposals with 10 points to promote island tourism. We want to make use of policy directives to create job opportunities, boost our economic development, and enhance our competitiveness as a tourism destination. Lantau Island is at the mouth of the Pearl River estuary. In the past, during the Second World War, that location was used as a strategic point to resist Japanese aggression, to resist pirates. There were a lot of known stories. I suggest that at various locations, such as the Polin Monastery, there will be tourist attractions set up. There should be a hall of history set up. There should also be a Patriot corridor promoting red tourism, linking Tongfuk, Mui Wo, Polin Monastery, and Tai O, as well as other locations. I also asked departments to train tourist guides and also organize tours for students to boost their patriotism. This, in turn, will enhance the understanding of our history in the War of Resistance. We have a silver mine bay. We have very easy access from various locations to the silver mine bay. There has been a number of concerts held there. I suggest that Silver Mine Bay should be turned into a concert location, inviting organizers to hold different concerts and performances there. This will attract different types of musical performers to stage their performances there. This will be conducive to Hong Kong's position as an East-Meets-West cultural center. In the long run, there should be permanent locations set up. With the change of travel patterns, well, Changchao is facing changes. I suggest that during weekends and holidays, there will be bazaars set up selling handicraft products with local characteristics. There can also be workshops and musical performances with rich culture. This will enrich the landscape of tourism in these islands. I also suggest that water taxis routes be developed. In Changchao, Pingchao, Lama Island, Mui Wo, and Tai O, they all have different characteristics suitable for different types of leisure activities. Currently, the central pier is used as the main transportation hub. It's difficult for visitors to go to these different islands within one day. If there is island hopping itinerary, then there will be more flexibility. Water taxis should be provided to improve connectivity. Restaurants and shops at these locations should be coordinated to provide special deals. In relation to Tung Chung, it's close to Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, airport. It's at a prime location. The scenery is beautiful. It can provide itineraries for sea, water, and land. I suggest that Tung Chung East, New Extension Island, the airport island, they should all be put under one umbrella and developed as a tourist destination. It's very difficult for people to go to Tung Chung. The Tung Chung East promenade should be extended to Tung Chung North as well as nearby towns. A brand new promenade should be developed. Commercial activities, community facilities, cycling track of 10 kilometers should all be set up. An array of different activities should be put in place to boost footfall as well as economic activities. I thank Mr. Kenneth LAU, Mr. Pak-leung, Ms. Chan Yuet-ming, and Mr. Michael Luk for their amendments. They talked about the 4 trails as well as the development of low-altitude economy. These are the main proposals advocated by the DAB. I look forward to collaboration with different stakeholders and sectors so that islands will be a pillar for developing our economy, and it will also be a place where we will promote our culture. They will be destinations offering in-depth and different experience for visitors. Visitors will be able to feel the local characteristics there.
I now propose the question to you that Mr. Chen Hok-fung's motion be passed. Mr. Kenneth LAU. President, in this year's National Day Golden Week, we have seen great success. We have over 1.64 million visitors. We had seen quite a vibrant scene. Apart from traditional attractions, Sai Kung East Dam, Popinchao, Port Island, we have had a great number of visitors. We have also seen visitors adopting the model of rural tourism and immersive tourism. I thank Mr. Chen Hok-fung for proposing the original motion, allowing us to further discuss how we can develop and promote rural tourism, also allowing me to propose amendments to talk about my suggestions for further developing rural tourism. This year is the 80th anniversary of the victory of a war of resistance. We have been promoting the spirit of resistance, and it has brought about popularity of red tourism. The new territories' rural areas were the front line in the war of resistance. They are great locations for us to promote the history and that part of the culture. In the policy address they have talked about, the government has talked about rehabilitating relevant infrastructure, and we are to work with the Shenzhen authorities to promote the route of national celebrity rescue. It allows youngsters going on that route to know more about developments of the country and that part of the history of Hong Kong. I suggest that in Sai Kung Sha Tau Kok, we should have more trails on the history of the war of resistance to further develop red tourism, promote patriotism, and instill awareness. We have the 4 trails that are well known in the world for its beautiful scenery. We have received a large number of visitors in the trails, and in Popinchau and Eastham, we have many visitors going to these locations in recent years. As we have more visitors, we need a comprehensive review of the attractions and enhancement of the facilities, including improvement to the signage system and having more barrier-free facilities and have emergency aid points. We also need to enhance safety and experience for users to make sure there's adequate protection for visitors. We need to also protect the environment. We need to strike a balance between development of tourism and conservation of the environment. Apart from red tourism and trail tourism, I also said in my amendments that we need better low-altitude tourism facilities in different parts of Hong Kong, such as Yan Chou Tong Marine Park. We can have low-altitude tourism routes. We have in November of last year, Shenzhen developing its first low-altitude tourism route. So we can perhaps work with the Shenzhen authorities to develop low-altitude tourism so that visitors can go to Lantau Island, Sha Tau Kok, and Da Meisha, Xiao Meisha in Shenzhen to go along this route to enjoy the breathtaking sights. I also thank the government for taking on board suggestions of the Hon Yi-kuk to enhance the arrangements for operations of guest houses in rural areas as well as holiday camps. There are also facilitation measures for F&B facilities in rural areas. I urge to standardize the fees for short-term exemptions for recreational sites in new territories, rural areas, so as to reduce the operational costs of operators. The government should also improve transport infrastructure in rural areas to improve accessibility so as to promote tourism is everywhere. I so submit speaking in support of the original motion and other amendments. I implore other members to support my amendment. Thank you. Ms. Chan Yuet-ming. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Chen Hok-fung for proposing the original motion. My amendment focuses on how we should not only develop rural tourism for the sake of it, but also to promote urban-rural symbiosis so as to lead to high-quality development. I have 3 main points in my amendment. To add the statement that the tourism industry is one of the economic pillars of Hong Kong. 2, to include historic buildings and historic sites marking the war of resistance so as to have more attractions for people to actually see. Thirdly, on urban-rural symbiosis, we need to tie in with the development blueprint for Hong Kong's tourism industry 2.0 so that we have a more comprehensive plan for and have pilot demonstrations in certain locations. The Northern Metropolis is the engine for growth of the economy of Hong Kong in future. Right now, we have the Sandy Ridge site having been tendered so that in future we will have a site that can have high quality development that balances the economic development and living. So I think we really need to enrich the experience in the area to retain talents in the Northern Metropolis. We have many different heritage and relics in the rural areas. They are an important part of history of Hong Kong. It is also an important part of history of the War of Resistance in the country. We need to design content for students as well as the general public so that they can walk along the route to know more about the country and the relationship between Hong Kong and the motherland. We can in turn develop red tourism, and that will help us pass along the heritage. It also helps us tell a better story of that part of the history. My amendment includes in particular historic buildings and historic sites marking the War of Resistance to make sure we are telling people about that part of the history rather than just focusing on the attractions themselves. On urban-rural symbiosis, Northern Metropolis is a city of our future, is a district of our future. In the planning of the neighborhood, we need to respect the culture and heritage of traditional villages. We need to make sure the new part of the city and the old part of the city can coexist. So it is important that we develop rural tourism. For pilot locations, I would suggest that we can have some basic facilities constructed in the Robin's Nest. We can refer to the experience of the on-ping cable car system, and we can have a cable car system in Robin's Nest. So we can tie in with the plans to open up Shuttlecock so that the public and visitors can take cable car in the area. It will allow people to see the breathtaking sights of Robin's Nest. It will also allow people to enjoy the view of Shenzhen. We can also develop the blue and green circle in the Northern Metropolis, but we need to improve accessibility to make sure we have an option that can connect the blue and green circle and the rural areas. I so submit. Mr. Chung-hung. For the motion on promoting rural tourism, I very much support this. In the Victoria Harbour, outside that part of the city where we see a lot of skyscrapers, we actually have a lot of beautiful sites in the rural areas such as in Castle Peak Bay and Yuen Long. We have also the country parks and the traditional villages. If we have experiences where people can stay in villages for a night or two for an immersive experience, it will allow people to embrace the unique charm of Hong Kong. Unfortunately, there are many restrictions with small houses and village houses in general. So we have not been able to really promote rural tourism and by extension rural economy. So I propose an amendment to relax the restrictions in relation to license applications in the specific details. we have recently non-traditional attractions being very popular with visitors. Unfortunately, because these attractions are often located in remote areas, there is no accommodation at the moment, and visitors are very disappointed. They can only stay there for a short time, and villagers cannot really seize the economic opportunities brought about by the increase in the number of visitors. So often the facilities are just left vacant, or the houses are just left vacant. So if we can develop accommodation in rural areas, it will really generate vitality in rural areas. We have in existing legislation some restrictions relating to short-term accommodation because they have to comply with the legislation regulating guest houses. The facilities would also have to comply with, say, fire safety requirements. And often the village houses and small houses cannot pass this part of the test. But we already have people living in small houses, so I think they are safe. We need to have licensing rules that have regard to local circumstances. In the mainland and many other places, the standards for homestay lodgings are different from those for hotels. Hotels have many rooms on a floor and they have multiple floors. They need more stringent requirements, but village houses cannot house that many people. So I think there's room for relaxation of restrictions. I, therefore, urge the government to relax the restrictions in relation to the licensing requirements for homestay lodgings. We also need to streamline the workflow for applicants so that we can make it easier for them to apply for licenses. We should also provide guides if we can. We also need to improve transportation and sewage systems in order to promote tourism in rural areas. I believe there is much potential to be unleashed. We can have homestay lodgings in close to mountains and the sea. We should really connect the different parts of the puzzle, such as accommodation, F&B facilities, and experiences to create synergy. We also have unnecessary restrictions for food business licenses. We should relax them as well so that we can provide F&B facilities to further promote rural tourism. If we can really provide different experiences in traditional villages, ancestral halls, and flourishing villages, and combine them, this would be great. And we have seen before some traditional experiences being restricted by these unnecessary restrictions of the administration. If we can remove them, it will provide different themed attractions for visitors. I so submit.
Mr. Perry Yu, President, I speak in support of Mr. Chan's motion on promoting rural tourism, and I also support other amendments. I ask members to support my amendment as well. This term of the LegCo has attached importance to the development of tourism. We have asked many questions, moved many motions. We have provided a lot of valuable input. The last motion of this term is on tourism. It shows the support given by members. I express my gratitude to members for their support. Tourism is facing a lot of challenges. Traditional model cannot meet the needs of visitors. People ask for in-depth experiences. I thank the Bureau for coming up with the Tourism Development 2.0, as well as the proposal of Industry Plus Tourism. In relation to rural tourism, it is very new product. It will provide a new experience. The rural area provides a different feel in relation to culture, way of life, cuisine, and activities. We can tap into these opportunities and promote tourism is everywhere. However, in the countryside, there are limitations, say, for example, connectivity. We have to develop the tourism in a high-quality, low-density model with a lack of infrastructure and support. The brand itself is yet to be built. That's why I said in my amendment about improving ancillary facilities, making good use of the resources of the Countryside Conservation Office to make good use of rural resources to develop rural tourism and boost the economy. People don't just go there and take photos. You need to provide them with a great experience. I thank the AFCD for coming up with the Agri Enjoy scheme or Fish Enjoy scheme as well. Operators can provide a cuisine that is cooked without naked flame. They remove barriers to promote rural economy. It's just like the other amendments. Well, there should be promotion and facilitating measures for operators in countryside to run businesses. In relation to transport, I've been urging the government to develop sea transport as well as cycling. In rural areas, there is a favorable condition to develop these modes of transport. In closed areas, in restricted roads where coaches are not allowed, I hope that the restrictions will be lifted appropriately so that the sector can come up with in-depth tourism products. In relation to the use of resources of the Countryside Conservation Office, at the beginning of the year, I participated in the Countryside Harvest Festival organized by the office. It's a very good experience. I highly recommend it. But the annual activity will not be able to sustain rural tourism and economy. I ask the activities to be held regularly and more frequently, featuring the different festivals and different features. In addition to ICH festivals, this will boost the experience of visitors. We need to turn rural tourism into products and itineraries. In addition, we have to promote these products. I thank the government for enhancing the Countryside Conservation Funding Scheme. Applicants are encouraged to collaborate with the sector of tourism. They can work together to produce new products. The CCO can also make use of minor works improvement scheme to add toilets, signage, as well as walkways. I so submit. I ask members to support my amendment.
Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. President, I thank Mr. Chen Hok-fung for the motion and Mr. Kenneth LAU, Ms. Chan Yuet-ming, Mr. Michael LAU and Mr. Perry Yu for their respective amendments. This gives us a chance to discuss in this council how to promote rural tourism. The great outdoors of Hong Kong are only minutes away from the urban hustles. Praised by many, this is a unique tourism element of our city. According to the findings of the Departing Visitor Survey of the Hong Kong Tourism Board, around a quarter of the overnight visitors who came to Hong Kong in the first half of this year said the reason they were here was to explore Hong Kong, including the natural scenery, arts and culture, and the local experience. Around the end of last year, the CSTB released a development blueprint for Hong Kong's tourism industry 2.0, in which the government proposes the development of ecology plus tourism. We want visitors from around the world to respect the nature and help preserve the environment as they appreciate and experience our beautiful and accessible world-class natural scenery. To develop rural tourism in an orderly manner, unlock the potential of rural resources, and revive the rural economy, we need collaboration among the government, the business sector, and the community. We need to work together. Relevant bureaus and departments will provide support by removing the policy barriers. In the policy address announced last month, the chief executive said the government will promote ecology plus tourism in realizing the vision of tourism is everywhere. In this connection, we'll launch the 4 Peaks tourism projects proposed by the Working Group on Developing Tourist Hotspots. The Undersecretary for Environment and Ecology will give more details on their work to promote ecotourism. The Development Bureau will explore suitable means to connect rural attractions such as traditional villages, fields, ancestral halls, and study halls, as well as folk activities. Visitors can, through strolling and cycling, enjoy a rich experience of rural eco-tours. The Development Bureau will facilitate the conversion of village houses into homestay lodgings or community eateries to promote urban-rural symbiosis. Later on, the Undersecretary for Environment and Ecology will talk about the support for villages to provide accommodation and dining facilities. In addition, the Home Affairs Department launched the Community Involvement Program for eligible non-governmental organizations, such as rural committees and district organizations. They may apply for funding to organize projects featuring local characteristics and popular festive celebrations, as well as cultural and recreational activities to foster district harmony, as well as promote and preserve traditional culture. On publicity, the Tourism Board has been making use of its year-round promotional platform, Hong Kong Great Outdoors. It features hiking, beaches and outdoor activities, sightseeing and island hopping as the themes. Through various channels including guidebooks, web pages, TV productions, social media and mobile apps, the Tourism Board introduces in detail Hong Kong's unique natural scenery and countryside experiences and promotes the message of protecting the nature and caring for the environment. In March this year, the Tourism Board launched a new series of promotional videos, 4 Corners of Hong Kong, featuring 4 thematic short films. They take viewers on a journey to Hong Kong's east, south, west, north, namely Sai Kung in the east, Po Toi Island, Stanley and Ap Lei Chau in the south, Lantau Island in the west, and Robin's Nest Country Park in the north. In response to the preferences of different source markets and the growing interest in in-depth tours among visitors, the Tourism Board has launched various promotional campaigns. It encourages and supports the tourism industry and other organizations to launch guided tours. For example, earlier this year, the Tourism Board worked with the trade and arranged for a group of South Korean sports enthusiasts to visit Hong Kong. Accompanied by the city's coastal scenery, mountains, and skyline, these visitors experienced Hong Kong's urban beauty and the enchanting scenery of our countryside through running. President, the Environment and Ecology Bureau will talk about its work to promote rural tourism. Both the CSTB and the EEB will carefully listen to members' views on how to promote rural tourism. Will provide a more detailed response in our concluding remarks.
Undersecretary for Environment and Ecology. President, I would like to thank Mr. Hok-fung for proposing the motion, and Mr. Kenneth LAU, Ms. Chan Yuet-ming, Mr. Chung-hung, and Mr. Pak-leung for proposing amendments, giving us the chance to discuss rural tourism in the Council. We attach great importance to the concept of lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets, and the initiative of planning for development on the basis of promoting harmony between humanity and nature put forward the country. We have, in terms of promoting green development and fostering the harmonious coexistence between humanity and nature, an objective is to promote the overall green transformation of economic and social development and building a beautiful China. The EEB has been developing ecotourism and rural tourism on the premise of nature conservation and sustainable development. Hong Kong is rich in natural ecology. We are committed to conserving the ecology and revitalizing villages to preserve Hong Kong's unique natural and cultural resources and provide a good experience of ecotourism and rural tourism on the basis of sustainable development. Hong Kong's country parks attract more than 12 million visitors each year and have long been renowned for their spectacular views. We have also the proximity of hills and seas being close to the city. We have also the wetland park. In December 2024, we have launched the Robin's Nest Country Park. We have diverse plants and animals. We have many war relics in the city as well. On 9th of November in the same year, we opened the Long Valley Nature Park that has become breeding grounds for many different species. It has nurtured different plants and animals. It has also facilitated coexistence between humanity and nature by promoting farming. We have also another wetland park that can in the Deep Bay that can promote biodiversity, but also ecological education as well as aquaculture. We want to also promote the views of mountains and sea. We want to promote the war relics in the different trails. We're actively taking forward the 4 Peaks tourism project, the Peak, Lantau Peak, Tai Mo Shan, and Sai Kung Hoi. We want to develop further green tourism. When we chose to take forward this project, we have considered the attractions to be promoted had the necessary facilities and can accommodate a higher number of visitors. We only need to undertake minor alteration works to make sure we can provide the necessary accommodation. It will not impact the environment. We also have in the 4 Peaks attractions plans to further develop the areas, for example, improving the facilities, planting native flowering plants, as well as developing the relevant tourism products. The measures are expected to be completed and launched in Q4 of this year and early next year. We have the Countryside Conservation Office having a countryside conservation funding scheme that has funded 56 projects since 2019 in Laichiwo and Wujilam and other locations. 3,000 diversified and innovative activities were held, showcasing the unique charm of the countryside to different parts of the world. We have the CCO organizing the Countryside Harvest Festival early this year, combining music, art, and traditional foods, providing diverse experiences for the public in the rural areas. We will also continue to have immersive tourism activities in the rural areas in the vicinity of Yanqiaotong through the funding scheme in future. We have a rich fisheries and agriculture culture in Hong Kong. We are actively developing leisure agriculture and fisheries to have farms and fish wraps provide diversified experiences to visitors. For example, for farms, we have since last June the Enhanced Agri Enjoy scheme, and we have also in this September the launch of the Fish Enjoy scheme, which helps with publicity. We have also the Interdepartmental Task Force for license applications of guest houses and accommodation and food business premises, so that for different areas we can involve the relevant bureaus and departments to streamline the workflow. We have a target of promulgating the application guide in Q4 of this year. And in the application guide, it will set out the different licensing requirements. The CCO will also continue to provide advice as necessary. The Home Affairs Department under the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau will enhance the licensing requirements and guidelines for applying for licenses of holiday camps and guest houses, and there will be a new application guide for guest houses in village houses so as to facilitate the operations of homestay lodgings in rural areas. On food business licenses, the EEB promulgated an enhanced version for bazaar applications, and that has facilitated interested parties to apply for temporary food factory licenses so that one can sell food and beverages in bazaars. On the premise of conserving the environment, in popular locations, the AFCD has been continuously monitoring the situation and flexibly deployed different management strategies, and has been conducting further assessments to see what we have to do in future. We will carefully listen to the views of members in the following, and we will give more answers in the concluding remarks. Mr. Andrew Lam.
I thank Mr. Chan Hok-fung for moving the original motion, and I also thank other members for the amendments. When it comes to rural tourism, if I list out the different destinations, it will take me all the way to the start of the next legislative term. However, when it comes to the limitations and problems of rural areas, their inadequacies, and the pressure and conflict created to the local area, I'm sure the government is well aware of it. Members will also have a long list of problems to tell you. It's almost 4 years. This council has talked about the problems of rural tourism and the development of the countryside many times. What is the core of these issues? I'd like to share my observations with you. We have two important bureaus here today. I was involved in the Countryside Conservation Fund as well as the Sustainable Development of Lantau work. The direction is right. The two bureaus take the lead, and the Development Bureau is also involved. Yes, the Countryside Conservation Office is involved. The work has to continue. The Sustainable Lantau Development Office, as well as the Countryside Conservation Office, in addition to the various funds. How is the progress of the work? Barriers are removed in relation to the development of Lantau. How many of these initiatives have actually been implemented? I support the work of the Sustainable Development of Lantau Office, but it's down to coordination as well. If we talk about the development of rural tourism, are we just working on a fragmented basis, or do we need an overall coordination? The government is the umbrella. I hope the government will have an overall blueprint, a plan. I think the government can do some work in 3 areas. First, transport. The east dam of High Island. Well, it's not easy to get there, and if there is a heavy footfall, there will be congestion. For Lantau South, if we have 6,000 visitors, we are concerned that the road capacity will be overloaded. If we are to actually promote rural tourism, shouldn't we identify some hubs with sound infrastructure in terms of transport and accommodation? these locations have favorable conditions to be further developed, then visitors can use it as a base before they explore other remote areas, say for example, Sha Tau Kok. If we talk about within the frontier closed area or Chung-hung Street, then there is little we can do. But what about Lok Keng? There are plenty of sites that are zoned as agriculture. There is potential. Mr. Perry Yu talks about the many festivals. Do we promote them one by one? Can't we come up with an event calendar? Say, for example, Cantonese opera. We have these shows round the year at different locations. Some people just go visit the location or the event, take photos and leave. But can't we just come up with spin-off products to produce merchandise so that visitors can leave with something as a memorabilia? I speak in support of the original motion and the amendments. Mr. Dr. Low Wai Kwok. First of all, I thank Mr. Chen for moving the original motion. I also thank the 4 members for moving amendments. The PBL has been advocating making use of humanity resources and natural resources to come up with a diversity of products to boost our economy. The motion today aligns with our advocacy. Nowadays, tourists don't just go and take photographs. They also want to have an immersed experience. We have a rich culture. We have beautiful rural landscape. We have islands. We have rural villages. We have rich history. There is potential. We need to transform the potential into economic impetus. The government should work on 3 areas. First, use innovative products in rural tourism. On different occasions, I've said that Hong Kong is Hollywood of the East. Plenty of well-known movies are located here. Why don't we draw reference from overseas experience? Well, in a movie, there is a location where the protagonist jump off the cliff. We see truckloads of people visiting that location. We can improve our signage. We can create movie trails. In Hokkaido, there is a national wetland park. There are viewing points, museums, and train routes. These facilities have not destroyed or damaged the wetland park itself, and they have drawn in a large number of visitors. It is a prime example of well-balanced of development and tourism. We can do the same in Maipo wetland. We can have an eco-corridor going east from west. We can make use of drones and unmanned aircraft, making use of the low-altitude economy by introducing one in a lifetime sea-land-air experience. We have precious natural resources. We need to make good use of it to tap into that potential. In addition, infrastructure in rural areas should be improved. You need to improve connectivity to bring in money. Without good transportation and support and ancillary facilities, it's difficult to draw in visitors. The government should be determined to improve infrastructure. For example, expand or build roads in rural areas, improve connectivity, provide coach loading and unloading bays, improve heritage structures, add more toilets, improve the environment of country parks to meet needs. We need a good plan. so that a natural and historic history of rural areas will bring in economic benefits. The government should also come up with favorable business environment in the rural area. I'm happy to learn that the relevant guidelines for running guest houses in rural areas has been improved. The food business licensing procedure should be streamlined. Government should consider allowing operators to run food businesses by selling local products. This will bring in income for villages and at the same time be another appeal for tourists. Insurance as well as regulations should be improved accordingly. We need to have a new regulatory framework. All these initiatives should aim at lowering the threshold for running businesses in the countryside so that it will boost the local economy as well as bring in income for residents.
Mr. Ronald Chen, I thank Mr. Chang Hok-fung for the motion. Hong Kong is an international city. We have a lot of skyscrapers, and our image is well known to the world. In this small city, we have abundant rural resources. 40% of our land is countryside. We also have 5,000 hectares of country parks, and they are 1 hour away from the urban center. So we have our unique advantages. Tourism is the pillar of many cities, and we should make use of our unique resources to discover the potential. To ride on the major trend, in the last year's policy address, the chief executive announced the setting up of a working group on developing tourist hotspots to strengthen interdepartmental efforts to promote tourism with characteristics. We want to realize the vision of tourism is everywhere. We want to relieve the pressure of over-tourism in urban centers. We also want to roll out additional options for neighboring tourists so that they can enjoy the relaxing life in weekends. Lai Chi Wo, Tai O, they are places with rich cultural resources and natural scenery. They provide an in-depth cultural tourism experience for tourists. This kind of development model can be replicated. The government should take the initiative to work with different departments, including the rural offices, so that we can develop representative as well as sustainable thematic tourism itineraries, so that rural tourism is not just a sightseeing option but also an important carrier for Hong Kong's culture and the nature in Hong Kong. We have to strengthen the skills of our tour guides in order to promote the win-win development of ecological as well as economic development. We have our rituals, and we can build a museum in Hong Kong. We can make use of these resources as well as community involvement to promote Tourism Plus and introduce in-depth tourism experiences. For example, we can have rural educational itineraries and introduce the crafts as well as different arts in the rural area. In terms of developing rural attraction sites, we can involve the private market. The LCSD is currently exploring this model. There needs to be private partnership model. We have to build clear rules and ask investors to provide detailed development proposals to ensure that we can have ecological tourism as well as education as the core. We don't want these to be over-commercialized. We can have the government taking the lead on land planning, and we can have the private market inject capital. Then we can have a win-win situation, and that both can make profit. This can also ensure sustainable development. We can also take into consideration the capacity of our environment. Recently, we saw many tourists in Sharp Island and tourists trampling on coral reefs. In this regard, the administration should prepare ahead and make plans. For attraction sites with limited capacity, there should be a booking system to control visitor numbers. It is only through this way that we can minimize the disturbances caused by visitors. We have to, on one hand, enhance the facilities for accommodation, transportation, as well as for catering. We have to improve the infrastructure in rural areas. On the other hand, we have to enhance the relevant tourism facilities such as car parks, tourist centers, and signage systems to improve our services and to enhance the rate of satisfaction of visitors. Policies in relation to rural tourism should not be the work of one department. We should adopt a dual or multi-pronged approach. I support the motion. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Thank you, President. Last month, we had about 3.3 million visitors coming to Hong Kong. In the first 3 quarters of this year, according to initial estimate, we had 36 million visitors. This is an increase of 12% compared to the same period last year. We had over 10% increase of mainland as well as overseas tourists. So we can see that Hong Kong is a popular tourist destination for visitors around the world. We still have our appeal and charm for overseas tourists. We had the name of gourmet paradise and shopping paradise. With the change of times, people are pursuing a green life and more people would like to be closer to the nature. We see a change in tourist spending behavior as well as traveling habits. People who come to Hong Kong, they no longer just come here to buy branded products. They are here to explore the natural scenery of Hong Kong. We have our culture as well as historical heritage. According to Mr. Kenneth LAU, in order to improve our tourism, we have to enhance the 4 peaks signage systems and 4 trails, and we have to consolidate village resources as well as historic relics. We can set up a heritage trail in Lantau as well as Sai Kung to enrich tourist experience. We should develop rural tourism by improving transportation facilities. And this will not only benefit inbound tourists who come to Hong Kong, we can also benefit locals by allowing them to relax in these places. Many years ago, in places around the northern metropolis, now there were many grasslands. Well, we've seen many changes over the past decade. I've been a legislator for some 20 years. In the past, there were people who grow crops in the new territories, but we see very different development there nowadays. There are industrial parks as well as innovation parks there, and the government is speeding up the development of the northern metropolis. I'm glad to see in my career as a legislator that this is going to be materialized from planning to implementation to the design stage and to attract capital. We're seeing many progress. I hope that we will continue to work hard in this regard in future. I've been calling for a balance of conservation as well as development. While we want to attract capital and businesses and revive economy, we should not damage our culture and heritage. Businesses and talents who come here not just to make profit, they want a high quality living environment. Apart from work, they want spaces for entertainment and relaxing. They want to go to the cinema as well as to go hiking and camping. So to enhance the facilities in the rural areas, not just to attract visitors to Hong Kong and to attract them to extend their stay here, but it's also a way to attract businesses and capital and have talent settle in Hong Kong. There will be blue and green tourism development in the northern metropolis. We are progressively opening up Sha Tau Kok. Last year, we set up the Robin's Nest Country Park, and we also have plans to develop Lau Fau Shan, Chin Pei Choi, and Pak Nai to attract visitors. Be it the northern metropolis or the development of rural tourism, we need infrastructure for transportation in order to expand the capacity. It's just like being legislators, we have to have a solid foundation. We shouldn't be just drawing people's attention. We have to carefully listen to people's views and balance the needs between listening to the views of the trade and that of citizens. We should have the government implement the actual policies and be the bridge between our people and the government. Well, time have passed. This is my last time in this solemn Legislative Council to speak. I have many memories here. I so submit. Thank you. Ms. Lillian Kwok. Thank you, Deputy President. This is also my last time to speak in this council. I speak in support of this motion on promoting rural tourism. I think what matters is that we need to be happy. Tourism makes people happy. When we go on tours, we enjoy food and entertainment. On tourism, I think we should not neglect the importance of food and entertainment. There are many cultural itineraries, hiking itineraries. There are also island hopping tours. And we want to revitalize our beaches in order to revive our economy. Just now, Mr. Chang Hok-fung mentioned that in the past, in Amoy War, there were music festivals and concerts in the beaches there. When I used to work there, I used to visit the beaches for concerts and music festivals. There are eateries as well as guest houses there, and they were all full during the festival. But after the festival, they were empty. We want to revive our tourism industry and we want to ensure sustainable development of rural tourism. So we should not only focus on one-off events because we do not just want to draw people's attention by, for example, staging fireworks shows. We want to ensure the long-term development of our economy. Therefore, just now a number of members mentioned that it is crucial that we develop the supporting facilities and infrastructure. Around our attraction sites, for example, we need public toilets. We have to ensure the hygiene of these facilities. We need eateries. And can they benefit the locals as well? Just now, the Undersecretary mentioned that we have the agriculture scheme. We also have fish rafts that promote leisure and recreational activities. Can we work with the local food trade and do more? Just now, Mr. Stephen Ho brought me to some places for enjoying oysters in Hong Kong. We can enjoy fishing there as well as tour guides. I only found out then that with half a bucket of water, there were 2 million baby oysters. Well, this helped enrich my knowledge. We should not just focus on overseas tourists. Locals would be very interested in these. But we need more strategies in terms of promoting these items. For locals, how can we educate them? We can promote more parent-child activities and encourage them to go out instead of staying home. We have been promoting mental well-being among our people. I believe that by encouraging them to visit the rural areas, it can enhance their mental health. Now, for mainland residents, a lot of them are not aware what they can do near the sea. So they are very interested in coming to Hong Kong and visit the different outlying islands here. Recently, we saw lots of tourists in Sai Kung for places with ecological interests where we can learn from overseas practice. For example, in Iceland, where they launch a lot of local tours, then they can control visitor numbers. They train up professionals to be tour guides. And we can learn from this model to tell the good stories of Hong Kong so that people know what our characteristics are. Hong Kong is a pluralistic society. It is an international city. In this busy place, we want our own backyard for relaxing. So the rural area is very important for us to rest. We also want to attract overseas visitors. There are many intangible cultural heritage in Tai O. There are preserved fish as well as shrimp paste there. And we can think about, for example, turning these attraction sites into distinguished places and attract overseas visitors. But do we have the relevant facilities? Publicity is important too. I hope that the existing LegCo members as well as the future LegCo members can work hard and that we can review our system. Thank you.
Mr. Vincent Ching. Thank you, Deputy President. I would first like to thank Mr. Chen Hok-fung for proposing the original motion. In the working group of developing tourist hotspots, they have made some recommendations in May. After that, in the policy address, the Chief Executive proposed measures to connect different attractions in rural areas to promote rural tourism. It shows the importance attached by the government to this issue. And we have rich rural resources that we can think about how we can connect them better. For example, in Lai Chi Wo, in northeastern New Territories, the government has been working with different groups to combine different experiences so that visitors can experience the unique charm of Hakka culture. And this model can be extended to Muizilam in the vicinity and perhaps other locations to create synergy in the area to lengthen visitors' stay in the area. Another example is Yimtianzai in Sai Kung. Starting from 2000, villagers have been trying to rehabilitate the different infrastructure in the area, and it has seen more vibrancy in recent years with more youngsters trying to take forward different arts projects in the villages. It also helps with inheritance of heritage. If we can connect the different resources, it can provide a greater experience for locals and visitors. I have also been paying close attention to the provision of facilities in trails of Hong Kong. We have rich war relics, attractions, and facilities in Hong Kong at the trails. We have a rich history and people should learn about this part of the history. In this year's policy address, we have some measures on creating a tourism route for Chinese cultural celebrity rescue, and we have history experts promulgating 6 tourism routes relating to the red tourism resources to better make use of the relevant resources. Right now, we have a relatively fragmented approach with the tourist attractions in Hong Kong for promoting patriotic education. The attractions are not connected, which is why we suggest the government have some unified patriotic education routes so that in Wukaotang and Sai Kung, in such rural areas, we can have a clear route. We should also have the frequency of transportation to these areas increase, and we should have a clear signage system to provide convenience to visitors. We should also make better use of technology to provide a better experience to visitors. I've been working with the social welfare sector to see how we can better make use of camps. And I understand that some campsites in the New Territories, rural areas, 40% of the time there is no one occupying the sites. And these campsites are often located on popular trails. So with the promotion of fourth trails tourism, we can perhaps have have some projects to enhance the functions of the facilities. We can refer to the experience of Fuji Mountain in Japan and Haraksan in Korea to see how we can better develop such facilities. I've recently heard that there is a plan of an NGO for campsites that would have them work with different organizations to provide 1 or 2 day experiences for visitors. I think that is a good model that we can refer to. With the consolidation of rural resources, we need to consider the capacities of attractions. In the past year, in the East Dam of the High Island Reservoir, we have received thousands of visitors. We have also seen on Port Island, the Geopark, we have a lot of visitors. We really need to strengthen tourism management and implement control measures in these attractions, but also in attractions in rural areas. The administration should continue to collect data to assess the capacities of different attractions so as to balance tourism and conservation. I so submit. Your time is up. Mr. Kenneth LAU. Deputy President, it is easy to give up on something. It is much harder to persist. I'm not sure if you heard about this before, but this actually came from a Four Trails documentary. And the secretary herself has actually posted about this on her Facebook page. I can see that the secretary loves hiking herself. Hong Kong is a city that combines nature and modernism, balancing conservation and development. It is unique in the world, and many visitors love this. And I think we should promote rural tourism, as Mr. Hok-fung said. I thank Mr. Hok-fung for proposing the motion. We need to have creative solutions, but we also need to remove restrictions, unnecessary restrictions in regulation. Lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets. We have often heard that. We need to not take a across-the-board approach. We need to try to balance environmental conservation and economic development. This is how we can develop sustainably. The government has talked about how we are to promote trails in Hong Kong and some competitions. We have rich green resources. We have many different hiking trails. We have a lot of country parks. According to AFCD's figures, every year we have visitors hiking in Hong Kong in the numbers of tens of millions of people. If we review existing legislation for country parks, they only accommodate passive activities such as hiking, barbecuing, picnicking, and they require people to take foods there because there are no F&B facilities. I think the legislation and rules are outdated. If we've seen with competitions held in country parks, it is essentially treading in a gray area. I have heard feedback from the sector where with hiking or cross-country competitions, for the coordination, it would involve different departments, and there is no clear delineation of responsibilities. It has really impeded mega events development in the mountains. We can refer to international experience where restrictions are relaxed on a scientific basis to promote development of such events. I also want to talk about blue resources. We should make good use of our coastlines. I welcome the government's proposal to introduce a commercial operation model in beaches, but I wonder if the government can really implement this proposal. I told a friend, and apparently there are many restrictions in beaches. The surfboards and equipment like such are cannot be used in vessels. I understand that with more risky activities such as those involving motorboats, they should be banned. But then with, say, paddleboards, why they are relatively safe, why are they not allowed? I hope that the government can review relevant legislation. Relevant legislation was promulgated in 1999. It has been 26 years where we have not reviewed the piece of legislation. We should really see how we can better make use of our rural and beach resources, relax the relevant restrictions, and streamline relevant legislation. I have 30 seconds left. I want to talk about island tourism. We have many such experiences in different places. I think it's often a chicken and egg problem. If we have planning, if we have the creativity, we can develop island tourism with sports elements and cultural elements incorporated. Thank you. I so submit speaking in support of the original motion and the amendments. Professor Lau Chi-peng. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of the original motion and the amendments. With rural tourism, it involves natural sites, villages, and historic relics. For natural sites, we have other members talking about 4 trails, and it was indeed a touching story set out in the documentaries, but I won't go into details. I want to talk about Yanqiaotong. In the colonial era, we have many senior government officials vacationing in the area, and it was really difficult to develop the area, the northeastern New Territories. In Yanqiaotong, I need to talk about the West Lake in particular, and why it's it that in Hangzhou, the West Lake, it became a popular attraction because it had a famous poet being related to it. It had many stories and experiences stemming from the attraction. And naturally, it would attract people who love nature to go there. But it takes more to develop it as an attraction. And I think we should refer to the experience of the West Lake in Hangzhou. The rural sites of New Territories are an important attraction for visitors. We have a clan society, and many people don't know after the war, many Western academics, when they try to research Chinese society, they look at the New Territories history because we have a history that goes from Song Dynasty to now without any breakage in between. And I think there's great potential for us to tap into in developing rural tourism in New Territories. We have a clan society. We have, therefore, related infrastructure. We have bazaars. We have the housing structures. We have the cultural traditions. We have the different festive occasions. We have the banquet in having 9 dishes. We have rich intangible cultural heritage. There is much potential, as I said earlier, in developing rural attractions. When we talk about historical attractions, if we do not have a historical attraction, people will think we have no history. People won't understand how much of a history we have. So we need to talk about, perhaps from the very beginning, in the Neolithics, 7 to 800 BC. In that 8000 BC, we have already had cultural exchanges then with other regions. And later on, we have the genesis of Buddhism. And in Chunmun, we had 2,000 soldiers stationed there at one point because it was a strategic location. In Taipo, we do not only go there for cycling, we can do more cultural activities there. And we have various events taking place in Chunmun in different dynasties. For example, in the Ming Dynasty, we had the first battle between China and the West take place there. And when we talk about the new territories, we have some history about the war we're battling against the division of land by the West. We have Chung-hung Street being a very important point in the after-war history. And later on in 1997, when we have the armed troops of Hong Kong going to new territories from Shenzhen, this is also a historic moment. Mr. Holden Chow, I speak in support of Mr. Chen Hok-fung's original motion.
I thank Mr. Chen for moving the motion so we have a chance to have an in-depth discussion about road tourism. I feel under pressure having listened to Professor Lau. I love history, but I feel the pressure speaking after him. He's spoken a lot about history. I don't want to say anything that I have no expertise of. He talked about history in the new territories and that in Chunmun. Professor Lau talked about an important part of road tourism, which is history. I'd like to supplement that this is indeed a selling point of road tourism. I recall our attempt to talk to you about how to tap into our history as a road tourism. You go to Wang Tai San, go to Hachun, you see a rich history in these villages. When you talk about red tourism, I'm sure you will find all the attractions in these places. I think we need to step up our promotion to other places in this regard. Well, if you visit a website, say Lonely Planet, you find many destinations. For their coverage in Hong Kong, they talk about Lan Kwai Fong and Clearwater Bay. They may not accord priority to tourism relating to Chinese history. It's not given the top position. People, when considering visiting a place, they need to pick and choose different locations, and they will visit these tourist guide websites. Turning to our trails. Our trails are very well known. Previously, I saw a lot of ads on CNN about outdoor locations. If we can do something more along this line to let people know that our trails are still here waiting for their visit, it will be a good promotion. We can step up external promotion and publicity. When it comes to tourism or road tourism, the local economy will be boosted. Local operators running, say, food businesses or shops will need the government's help to remove barriers. When I talk to people from chambers of commerce from other places, they always said that if alfresco dining is not under such strict restrictions, then it will bring a lot of footfall because it is a lovely experience welcomed by visitors. Perhaps restrictions can be removed for alfresco dining in rural areas to be run. At the same time, you need to assess the carrying capacity of locations. There are selected locations that have been populated by a large number of visitors. Yes, we want to attract visitors, but at the same time, we need to assess capacity. If it's a nature reserve without proper assessment, then damage may be inflicted. I hear that there may be a carrying capacity set for East Dam of High Island. Rural tourism is an important part of telling good stories of Hong Kong. I so submit. Mr. Stanley Lee. Thank you, Madam Deputy. I speak in support of the motion. I'm from NT-Southeast. I attach importance to development of rural tourism. I thank Mr. Chan for moving the motion. I also support the amendments. Sai Kung is a precious asset. We have Pak-leung's Phase 1, Sai Kung Hoi, as well as Sharp Island. These are world-quality venues. We also have the Cham Chok Wan Memorial and Wu Kau Tung war relics. These are precious assets as well. The place has attracted attention under 4 peaks. When I talk to villagers and residents, they talked about a large number of visitors visiting only at the weekend. They go to visit these natural locations and skipping the urban area, so it's difficult for them to bring businesses to the local community. I hear that the government aims to diversify tourism. Perhaps the government should streamline process for licensing applications for food businesses and accommodation. A number of members have given proposals with high reference value. We see in the original motion that natural resources should be used, taking into account local locations for the development of rural tourism and rural economy. There we have fishing villages in Sai Kung with rich local characteristics. We have Sharp Island offering beautiful and breathtaking views. Our geopark is well known in the world. We need to find ways to further promote it. I have made a proposal that our geopark should be named a World Heritage. We can work with a nearby potential heritage locations to make the application. Mr. Kenneth LAU talked about red tourism and enhancing facilities, low altitude economy. I think these are tailor-made to Sai Kung. The war resistance monument is an important facility. The Wu Kau Tung relic is also important. If we can build a war relics trail, this will publicize our humanity. It also attracts study tours. In terms of improvement of 4 trails, I've spoken a lot about it. In Sai Kung, we have Section 1, the first section of the Pak-leung's trail. But there are problems with connectivity. I have given concrete proposals to government departments. I asked them to consider long-term planning. I proposed electric cars feeder service. That is very common on the mainland. If the government doesn't fully follow my proposal, perhaps they can just take and pick what they need. Mr. Michael LAU talked about streamlining licensing procedures for homestay and food businesses. A lot of villagers living in village houses talked about an interest in running homestay lodgings. They may also want to offer snacks, fish balls, shrimp paste to visitors as well. but they are very worried about being caught by the law. Hikers only come at the weekend, so if it costs a lot to run the business, they will not do it. Perhaps you can consider streamlining the process. Rural tourism is a major topic when it comes to our economic development. We have Sai Kung Hoi, we have natural resources, we have patriotic sites. It's a rich resource. I'm sure that the amendment and the original motion will attract more visitors to Sai Kung. This will help the local economy and people living in the area. Mr. Ma Fong Kwok. I speak in support, Madam Deputy, of the motion and the amendments. Tourism is a popular topic in the Council. Whether it is the rural tourism motion today or island tourism or enhancing Hong Kong's position as an international destination, it shows that we're all very concerned about the development of tourism, which is one of our 4 pillars of economic development in Hong Kong. If we can boost tourism, then it will in turn boost the other sectors. Holidaying sector, hotels, food and beverage, transportation, technology, they will all benefit. At the same time, this will boost Hong Kong, publicize Hong Kong's culture, our ecology. So it's a very good platform for telling good stories of Hong Kong. Hong Kong developed from a fishing village to an international metropolis. There are a lot of locations with a rich history in Hong Kong. We have war villages, we have locations of war, of resistance, we have one in Kam Tin, we have natural resources, say for example the hexagonal pillars in Sai Kung, we have the Bun Festival as well as the Cantonese Opera. 40% of Hong Kong land is rural area and country parks. A lot of expatriates sing praises about Hong Kong because it only takes half an hour to go from the city to the countryside, with many locations are covered by good transport. It's very rare, something very rare among different international cities. We have enchanting landscape. We have many beautiful islands. If these are run well, this will create more economic benefits and improve our appeal. The policy address talked about using yacht as another key growth area. It has potential, but if we are to tap into the potential, we will have to encourage yachts coming from the mainland to come to Hong Kong for visitors to land and spend. Increasing number of berths is not enough. We have to improve infrastructure. We have to give them more activities. We have to improve connectivity to go to urban areas. We will have to make it easier for them to take part in different activities and to keep them here longer. If there is coordinated effort, then there will be synergy. I'm glad to hear that this government has set goals to have an integrated development of culture, sports, and tourism. This will enhance Hong Kong's status as an international tourist destination. Coordinated and integrated development of culture, sports, and tourism is something that I advocated in 2010. I'm glad to see that the government has accepted my proposal before I stepped down as a legislator. From the very beginning, I started from a functional constituency, and now I am a legislator from the election committee. In addition to my concern about national security, how to integrate into national development, I am also concerned about how Hong Kong can play the role of East-West Cultural Center, a task given to us by the central authorities, as well as how we can reinvigorate our energy. we have to keep visitors a few more days. That's why we have to come up with packages that sells Hong Kong's special characteristics. I've been a legislator for over 2 decades. I have been a witness of the handover of the reunification. I have seen filibustering and black-led violence, as well as our achievement in completing the legislation of Article 23. It is a good ending of my legislator's career. I express my gratitude towards the support of my colleagues in the Secretariat. I loved the time I spent working with fellow legislators for the long-term prosperity as well as the implementation of one country, two system. I so submit.
Please focus on rural tourism when you speak. Mrs. Regina Ip. Deputy President, I speak in support of Mr. Chen Hok-fung's motion as well as all the other members' amendments. I appreciate what Mr. Kenneth LAU said about the Four Peaks project. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the documentary Four Trails. If you have seen it, you would remember 2 things. That is, those runners who took part in the competition, you will remember their perseverance as well as the magnificent scenery of the mountains, especially from Tai O to Mui Wo, and the scenery that shows a Lantau is great. It is the best way to market Hong Kong, but there is something not perfect. Those athletes had to finish over 300 kilometers of running within 3 days, and when they rested, they had nothing to eat. They had to bring their own snacks, and there were only some very simple food stores in the rural areas from the documentary. We need to have more food stores in the rural areas so that people will not only get sandwiches or instant noodles there. In Shek O, there is a famous food store there. Many tourists go to Tai O because there are many villages there as well as a famous bridge there. But when tourists get there, there's nothing to eat. So in order to promote rural tourism, we need to relax the application procedures for food business licenses. If you go hiking, you would know that there are more and more hikers nowadays. We have longer lifespan, and people are still very energetic nowadays, and people go all the way from the Albertine Reservoir all the way up to the hill. I also go hiking myself, but along the trail there's no places for people to get, for example, a cup of coffee. If the LCSD can relax the relevant restrictions and allow people to set up a cafe there, it would allow people to really appreciate the mountain views there. And we can also promote these trails as attraction sites. So I suggest that the government make use of our rural areas to encourage more visitors to come, be they from the mainland or other places in the world. And we need food there because people who go hiking, they need food. I heard that no one could finish the 300 kilometers for the Four Trails, but this Four Trails competition is well known around the world. To set up resting places, there are open spaces set up by the LCSD, and I think if you allow people to set up cafes there, you will benefit the SMEs. As we all know, we see a rise in the unemployment rate, and many people would like to start their own businesses. There are many cafes in Hong Kong because it incurs a lower cost to run such businesses, and because you have to only hire very few people to run a cafe. If you allow people to set up cafes and allow people to sell snacks there, you will help young people to start their own businesses. Of course, you have to remind people to protect the environment and take away their own rubbish. I think this is doable. We have to encourage people to go to our trails. Mr. Chan Hok-fung said there needs to be the Chinese celebrity rescue route. And no matter what kind of trails or routes we promote, we need resting places for people. We need, for example, cafes, and this kind of cafes are very popular around the world. And so we need spots and places along the trails for people to sell coffee. Thank you. Ms. Judy Chen. Thank you. I speak in support of Mr. Chen Hok-fung's motion on promoting rural tourism. People's traveling pattern has changed around the world. Nowadays, travelers are not only visiting Hong Kong to shop, they want more in-depth travel. They want to explore the nature. Hong Kong is an international city. We have very unique cultural scenes here, and we also have very rich cultural essence. We have the advantages to promote high-end rural tourism. So we have to seize the opportunity to review our tourism strategies to expand our tourism industry and landscape. There are many rural areas in Hong Kong such as Lantau, Lamma Island, Sai Kung, as well as the North District. There are beautiful mountains as well as sea views in Hong Kong. There are also villages rich in history. We also have abundant ecological resources and local cultural elements. People in Hong Kong, they like to visit these places during weekends and holidays, and these places can attract overseas visitors to extend their stay in Hong Kong. So these places have great potential. The New People's Party is of the view that we can regularly review our tourism strategies to make use of our tourism resources to promote rural tourism, so that our visitors can, apart from visiting the urban areas in Hong Kong, feel the charm of Hong Kong. Through the integrated development of culture, sports, and tourism, we can also promote our sports events and encourage people to have adventures in the rural areas. Now, speaking of sports events, I agree with what Mrs. Regina Ip said. Before becoming a legislator and before becoming a mother, I was a runner myself. I took part in a 100-kilometer running event. It took me 33 to 34 hours to complete 100 kilometers, and there were red, yellow, as well as black rainstorm warnings. To complete that competition, of course, it required a very long training, and I trained myself in Sai Kung on the MacLehose Trail. For the first few sections, there were only one store, and there were no other shops for me to get snacks. So I agree with what Mrs. Regina Ip said. We need more tourism facilities to boost our economy, and at the same time, it can bring visitors a richer experience. So to promote rural tourism, I believe that we need to improve our facilities. So the New People's Party is of the view that while we have to prioritize the development of the northern metropolis, we have to at the same time improve the transportation network in the rural areas as well as the pier facilities there. As for the development of the South Lantau corridor, I hope the government will release the relevant timetable soon. I hope it will tell people how to improve the pier facilities as well as the tourism facilities there, so that the tourism trade as well as the community can have something to look forward to. With the Lantau Conservation Fund, I hope there could be a better distribution of resources to enhance nature conservation. We want to benefit the local villages and residents. We also want to balance conservation and development. Now, when it comes to promoting rural tourism, we need creativity and flexibility. The New People's Party is of the view that we should relax the relevant regulatory measures, for example, for the provisional and temporary market, as well as for the relevant activities. We need more funding support as well as marketing support to encourage the community to be innovative and develop tourism products with local characteristics. We can encourage them to roll out agricultural experience, handicrafts, as well as docent tours. I believe all these can benefit the rural economy and the sustainable development of our community. I so submit I speak in support of the motion. Thank you. Dr. Hui Simon Lee. Thank you, Deputy President. I speak in support of Mr. Chang Hok-fung's motion as well as other members' amendments. In order to promote rural tourism, we need to have our own characteristics. The government will have to be the lead and involve the private market. At the same time, villages should be the major party and get involved. Many members have proposed some very good ideas and suggestions. To summarize, I think we need tourism development, improvement in environmental resources, as well as to improve villagers' lives. In order to achieve this, we need funding support. In promoting rural tourism, we need to adopt a new mindset and development model, including the financing model. Many years ago, when I worked in Guizhou, I took part in reviving the villagers' life there. Based on my work experience, I have come up with a couple of conclusions. First, we need government's funding support. Through government subsidies as well as dedicated schemes, we can subsidize the relevant tourism projects to improve the local transportation facilities and services. At the same time, the government should offer loans to lower the costs for financing. Through rural development funds, the government can ensure that the signature projects can get the right financial support. Secondly, on getting loans for the relevant parties, there should be long-term low-interest loans. We should encourage banks and the business sector to get involved. To promote a rural tourism, we can make use of inclusive finance through credit ratings as well as the relevant loan schemes. We can benefit villagers from small and medium-sized villages. A lot of homestaying lodgings can benefit from this kind of loan schemes and financing model. Thirdly, we need the participation of enterprises. We can encourage large-scale enterprises to invest in villages projects such as homestay lodgings as well as holiday resorts. We can adopt PPP to build a village project. We can also make use of industry funds to attract capital. At the same time, villagers' participation is crucial. Through acquisition of equities, villagers can co-develop villagers' projects. We can have villagers plan and develop this kind of projects collectively. At the same time, they can make use of the profit they earn to further expand the development, and then they can share the benefits from these projects. Now, we can also make use of fundraising. We can attract private equity funds to invest in village or rural projects with great potential. We can, through fundraising, attract people who are connected to these villages to take part in the projects. Lastly, what is crucial is that for this kind of village projects, we should allow people to make use of collaterals to take out loans. For projects with great potential, we can allow these people to make use of the operating franchises to get loans. They can use these franchises as collaterals. Now we are here to talk about rural tourism. It's about how we can make use of the beautiful villages there to boost our tourism and share these with the tourists from around the world. We need to adopt a new mindset in order to attract capital, in order to support the development of these rural projects. I speak in support of the motion. Thank you.
Dr. Judith Ho. Thank you, Deputy President. This is the last motion debate of this session on promoting rural tourism. I think this debate is very meaningful. We can take this opportunity to make our home more beautiful. We may have less favorable conditions. The city is not huge in size, but if we are determined, even with subdivided units, we can make it beautiful, make it clean for the people. As long as we have the necessary facilities, if we tie everything together, we can make it comfortable. Now, for promoting rural tourism, Hong Kong size is smaller than 1,100 square kilometers, so it is a small piece of land. But we do have our advantages. When we talked about developing Northern Metropolis, we talked about how we need to do more in Robin's Nest, and I have made some observations then. I said since we're developing the North District, we need to be comprehensive. We should not only focus on the country park because there may be unnecessary restrictions. Dr. Simon Lee talked about how we should involve more enterprises, and he himself worked in different enterprises, but he also takes the perspective of the government. He is combining the different angles to see what we can do better. I think this is good. We talked about introducing a commercial model of operation in beaches. So why not franchise the countryside as well? It's all about involving everyone. We talked about solving the housing issue, but we had not been able to do much. We talked about having food trucks like South Korea, but we ended up doing poorly, just like South Korea did. Often, the projects only lasted for 2 to 3 months and ended miserably. We are often restricted by the law, and it takes long to amend the laws. But then, with the amendments, they don't really do much either. The government talked about how different departments are working together, and the Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism is actually graduated from Queen's College. I was also a Queen's College student, albeit older than he was. But I think we have the same vision to make Hong Kong beautiful, just like a home. Can we provide more facilities, such as golf carts, so that we can convey the elderly persons to different locations, make it more comfortable for them, and it also makes it more fun? Can we provide more medical support like Ms. Elizabeth Quart suggested, how we can make better use of low altitude economy, different equipment and technologies, say AI? It's all about how we have the determination to do something. We need to speak within a certain time limit. I think it's the same for government plans. They need to adopt a target-oriented approach. Thank you. Mr. Chu Kwok-kung, I speak in support of the original motion and the amendments proposed by 4 members. We are an international city with rich tourism resources. We have the specific sites of the city in the 2 shores of the Victoria Harbour, and we also have the traditional villages and islands. It is all about how we can provide a diversified experience for visitors. The rural areas have rich natural resources as well as cultural resources. The blue and green circle includes the Shuttlecock area, Yan Chou Tong, Robin's Nest, and Lin Ma Hang. For the Robin's Nest Country Park, it is connected with Wucheng Mountain in Shenzhen to have an ecological corridor. It has diverse ecology. The Lin Ma Hang lead mine has seen the past of Hong Kong. It is now converted to an open museum to tell the stories of the people and nature in the area. We have been talking about developing ecology plus tourism, and it provides favorable conditions for developing rural tourism. When we're visiting other places, often we do not mind going far and into remote areas. We need to diversify the tourism experiences while balancing the development of tourism and conservation. If we do not have accessibility in remote areas, often visitors will not be keen on visiting those areas. We also need to provide facilities just like in other places. We need to balance ecological conservation, cultural conservation, as well as inheritance. But we also need to consider the capacities of the different attractions. Otherwise, we may fail miserably. In Niigata of Japan, every 3 years they will have some events held for arts. They will have exhibitions, they will have workshops, performances to revitalize the rural villages in the prefecture. And since 2018, we have a similar event where we have artists promoting rural tourism. We have also the Tourism Commission launching the Arts Festival in Yimqingzai and Saikonghoi before, which has attracted many visitors. Due to constraints in resources, we have not seen the event held this year. We have the civic society organizations trying to keep it up, but without government support, it is hard for them to continue holding the activities. I suggest that the government should have the goal of revitalizing villages in mind when promoting rural tourism to make sure we can combine development of tourism with inheritance of culture, and this will be a part of how we can implement tourism is everywhere. Thank you. Mr. Chen Yong. Deputy President, I would like to thank the Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism and Environment and Ecology for being here. I would also like to thank Mr. Chan Hok-fung for proposing the original motion and other members for proposing amendments. We have different colors of tourism, and in the development blueprint for tourism industry, it talked about promoting rural tourism, it talked about developing capacity and how we should develop characteristic tourism products. And we have seen in the past year or so the government launching different policy measures that are appreciated by stakeholders. President Xi talked about the high-quality development of the tourism industry to make it into a pillar industry. Rural areas take up a large part of Hong Kong, and Mr. Chen Hok-fung's constituency is also a constituency of Mrs. Regina Ip. It has the largest area while not having the highest population, so there's great potential we can tap into. Professor Lau Chi-pang talked about in detail the history of Hong Kong, and it can go up to the Neolithic era. And when we talk about before humans inhabited the area, we had animals there, and we have rural areas that have rich history. We should not overly develop these areas. We need to balance conservation and development in order to tap into the potential of these areas. Now, when citizens during the pandemic, they often visited rural areas. And we can see during peak periods, it is then when people went back to the urban areas. So really, we should think about how we can make good use of rural areas. I'm not sure if those listening have visited Tong before. It is the most beautiful place in the world, but one cannot simply walk there. One has to take a boat there. And when you get to the rural areas, you can see wild animals such as wild pigs, but it is safe. Let me say this. I think we can really have different options, and with the country's support providing funding in the tens of millions, over 30 million actually, we have been focusing on tourist attractions in Tsim Sha Tsui and Causeway Bay, and it often causes significant crowds in the areas. Can we provide more options to them so that people don't only shop in Hong Kong, they can embrace nature in Hong Kong? I think we can do more in diverting visitors to different locations. So for the places that have received less visitors, can we do more? Say the rural areas. Before, when people wanted to go to Lantau Island, there is not enough accessibility, and the government said that roads cannot be widened due to some constraints. I think with interdepartmental coordination, we can do more. We can provide more facilities as well. We can also provide more modes of public transportation so that people don't have to drive to these areas. Lantau Island, for the rural areas, even if they're classified as rural areas, they are very close to the airport, so there's great potential that we can tap into. We can maybe bring about tourism to the area, and in turn we can attract more visitors, creating more benefits economically. And as the Deputy President said before, we should develop different colors of tourism. Dr. So Chung-hung.
Madam Deputy, there is a need for us to enrich the content of tourism. We need to diversify. Visitors now have a different travel pattern, which in turn becomes challenges of the sector. Visitors are no longer satisfied with shopping and visiting the usual destinations. They want an in-depth experience into the culture. I agree with Mr. Chan's original motion as well as the amendments by other members. We need to take stock of Hong Kong's tourism development strategy. We have the world-renowned Victoria Harbour. We have a vibrant cityscape. We have an area that accounts for 70% of Hong Kong's area that is undeveloped. In these areas, we find old villages, intangible cultural heritage. We have a long coastline. We have plenty of islands with a rich ecology. These are precious resources sought after by visitors. We are a shopper's paradise. We host mega events. We combine Chinese East and West culture. All these gives us a unique advantage in tourism that is not found in other places. We have a rich history and a rich culture. We have plenty of natural resources, but these have not been given the attention they deserve. They have not been married with any other tourism products. The government should promote rural tourism, elevate it to a strategic level. Supporting measures should be given to this sector. A favorable environment should be created. Collaboration between the community and the government should be enhanced. This will turn rural areas into a tourist destination. These are my suggestions. First, to put in place a systematic development blueprint for countryside tourism. History, culture, customs, ecology, food, handicraft of different places should be put together in designing a special itinerary, say for example, red tourism, or an ecology itinerary exploring the many different natural attractions. Step by step, we enhance infrastructure as well. In a lot of these rural areas, the basic facilities are lacking. The government needs to step up the improvement of these facilities. 2. The government should put in place business-friendly policies, streamline application procedures to run events or food businesses. There should be favorable policies to encourage capital to be diverted to development of rural tourism. Concessionary terms should be offered to interested organizations in running operations. Restrictions on accommodation should be eased. We need to turn these resources into input. We need to collaborate the different sectors for them to develop together. We need to create a healthy development cycle. I so submit. Mr. Stephen Ho. I'm in full support of Mr. Chen Hok-fung's motion, especially the part about development of rural tourism. It covers many different areas. It includes accommodation, food businesses, public toilets, collaboration among different departments, products, marine economy. Well, it is not just about the countryside, it's about nature as well. People talk about protecting our countryside or our natural resources. It makes it difficult to develop these resources. So it boils down to the extent of development and whether there is integration. Well, it's about the harmonious coexistence of humanity and nature. How much do we need to protect Hong Kong, to preserve it like it was 3,000 years ago or 30 years ago? I think we need to set the line. We have rich village resources. We need to do well in our balancing acts. We need to consider the impact of the livelihood of residents. Do we develop it to an extent that they will benefit? Do we make use of conglomerates to develop the area? But if that is the case, villagers can't participate. So the government needs to first set the route. Talk to the Hung Yi-kuk. Don't exclude them. Don't just put them. Don't just come up with a consultancy report and shove it down the throat of the Hung Yi-kuk. We have the CSTB as well as the EEB here. The HAYB is also important. They have a very extensive portfolio. There is also another department, lands. Well, Agri-Enjoy scheme is in rural areas. If you put a container there for storage, you will have to make applications from the lands department. If you have all the information, it will take you 4 months. I have been involved in applications that's taken 4 years. Perhaps the different parties can talk to the government, expedite the application, streamline the procedure. Streamline the procedure or the definition of agricultural structures. Perhaps there can be expedited processing of applications when it's safe to do so. Village houses are lived in by residents, but if you want to turn them into accommodation or guest houses, the procedure is rather complicated. Don't get bogged down on the carrying capacity or the number of fire extinguishers. Put in place a simplified procedure. Or you can work with villagers to co-develop the area or have them share the profit. Another issue is food business license. In the past, we saw hawkers littering everywhere, but there would be hygiene problems. I remember a case when the seller was having a cigarette dangling in the corner of his mouth. It's very difficult to develop the rural area, but if it is a specific project with specific procedures, it may bring benefit. The first to start is for the WKCD authority. The next one is rural tourism. We have many different festivals. But when it comes to the festivals, the chill, hawkers can't even put the charcoal, a kind of dumpling, outside their shops to sell. Government land can be leased to villages. They can be used as car parks. We see tickets being issued for illegal parking, but there are at the same time vacant, unused land. It's about communication with the government. The government should have serious consideration and remove restrictions, as well as working with Hung Yi-kuk. Mr. Benson, look. This is the last council meeting of the legislative term. This is the last motion. The motion itself has significance. I'm sure that on macro level, cultural tourism as well as sports will be another growth engine for Hong Kong. We promote the development in this area to boost our economy. It is a proposal I have been advocating this term. Last year, in the middle of the year, I moved a motion on tourism everywhere, and I'm sure that this is an element in the current motion. I have some observations. Well, lots of members talked about using road transport to go to the rural area. We have 263 islands. Sea transport is a way to reach these islands. Well, the government has started developing yacht economy. It's included in a chapter under tourism is everywhere. It has potential, allowed visiting yachts under an individual visit scheme, or allowing crew members and master to navigate in Hong Kong waters having obtained a permit. Then you have many products, say for example, yacht tourism as well as island hopping. The government said that they have selected Tai Tam Bay, Tai O Kei Lang Ha Bay as destinations for the individual yacht scheme for berthing. I believe that a yacht plus tourism can have more products created, more itineraries created. Visitors expect an in-depth experience. In Sai Kung, there are special experience to make salt. And there is also pearl harvesting. It's very interesting because it works like a blind box when you don't know whether you'll find a shell with one. Now we have 4 trails. We have 25 country parks accounting for about 40% of landmass in Hong Kong. I've been advocating making good use of countryside resources to develop sports such as jogging and cross-country race. There is a huge potential. In 2024, in a national cross-country runs, it has increased to over 500. Previously was only 65. In 2023, the marathon creates about 700 million renminbi, which is huge. So we need to turn spectators into participants. This will also lengthen their stay. A lot of joggers go to different places to take part in events. They have huge spending power, spending about 3 to 4 days at a location. Sometimes they bring their family too. You see the economic benefit from this group. In November this year, in Lantau Island, we have an international game, Trans-Lantau. In November in Mui Wo, all the hostels, food businesses, bars, hotels, guest houses have been filled. It will boost local economy. We have over 100 races. If they can be coordinated into a package, that if you want to jog or run, you come to Hong Kong. I'm sure that this will boost rural tourism, which in turn boosts our economy. This is the last motion debate of the legislative term. We may have new roles, we may have new positions to man, but we love our country, love Hong Kong. We think that culture, sports and tourism is important. Hope that the government will continue to collaborate with different sectors to promote the development, to boost our economy and contribute to our country. I speak in support of the motion.
Mr. Kwok Wai-kung. Thank you, President. Tourism is everywhere. It's our consensus. We have done a lot of work. We have mega events, and we did a lot to promote our shopping as well as history and heritage. Rural tourism is an important element. Last year, I went to Shuttlecock with some friends of the media, and we thought about what we could do. This year, we went to Lantau. I declare that I am a member of the Lantau Development Advisory Committee. We went to South Lantau and talked about the development of South Lantau. This is a great scheme, and I hope that the scheme could be completed soon. The initial thoughts of the government is to bring in large corporates for large-scale development. We want to reserve spaces for the local residents to boost the local economy. We hope that all the tourism projects can benefit our employment market as well as the economy. The Lantau corridor, it's located around Cheongsha and Pui-o. My hometown is in Tai-o. My grandfather went to the urban area from Tai-o. I hope that we can ensure the conservation in Lantau as well as Tai-o. I talked to the people in Tai-o, and a lot of the young people would like to return to Tai-o, but there weren't many job opportunities. So yesterday, we released a document. It's about the revitalization of fish rafts in Tai-o. I'd like to thank the tourism trade. We have representatives from the FTU as well as professors from the Chinese University who offered a lot of advice and suggestions to us. As we all know, Tai-o is like the Eastern Venice. It is an important place that represents our culture. We were once a fishing village, and so Tai-o is a crucial element. We want to, through Tai-o, enhance young people's understanding of Hong Kong as well as their sense of identity. There are houses on the sea in Tai-o, and we want to revitalize the fish rafts there to bring fresh experiences to our visitors. We did some questionnaire surveys. We asked whether tourists would like to experience these special houses and fish rafts. Over 80% of the respondents said they would love to. We also talked to the local residents and asked them for their comments. We went to the different villages there, and about 80% of the local residents agreed that we should develop the houses there. And a lot of young people, about 50% of them, said we should avoid pollution and damaging the houses in Tai-o. But they all agree that we should develop our economy and roll out products with characteristics. That means we have to be careful. It doesn't mean that we should disregard the opportunity. We've been talking about developing homestaying lodgings, but we haven't seen any concrete ideas yet. Professor Chen Ping-hong offered some advice to us. We do not want to amend the existing guest houses ordinance because it's rather complicated if we do so. The legislation applies to the entire Hong Kong. So we want to instead adopt a new mindset, and we want to relax the relevant restrictions without affecting the hotel nearby. We want to introduce homestaying lodgings there that cater to tourists' needs, and so that we can offer a more in-depth and cultural experience to tourists, so that when they stay in Hong Kong, they can learn more about our culture. This will help us tell good stories of Hong Kong and boost our economy. I hope the SAR government can do more by adopting new approaches to develop homestaying lodgings. We want new regulations so that we can boost economy and create more job opportunities to attract young people to return to these villages. Thank you. Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, President. I speak in support of Mr. Chang Hok-fung's motion on promoting rural tourism. There is deep change in the tourism industry after COVID, especially. Tourists are asking for more. They do not just travel for going shopping. They want a more in-depth experience. They want to experience the culture in the different places. Hong Kong has rich world-class natural resources. There are many hidden gems in Hong Kong that can revive the economy of the city. We can consolidate these resources to effectively attract tourists to extend their stay in Hong Kong. Rural tourism is crucial for the integrated development of culture and tourism. It is an important strategy. If we look at our resources, we would find out that Hong Kong is not a very big place. We have some wishing trees in Lam Chun, and every year we have lots of tourists that go there, and I once threw a disc onto the tree. We also have red maple leaves in Tai Tong Yuen Long, and we so don't have to travel to other countries to see maple leaves. And you can enjoy lunch and dinner there as well. And these are places where people can take photos and upload the photos on Instagram and Xiaohongshu. We have great red tourism resources in the rural areas as well. For example, we have the Wukao Town war relics and monuments, and not many people are aware of these places. I go to Yuen Long Canteen for breakfast all the time. There is a very famous Iron Gate, and I talked to one of the bosses there, and he told me that there is a special place just 5 minutes away, and I wasn't aware of it. So this is about how we can transform these hidden gems into bright jewelry. On red tourism, well, some people might find this boring, but just last week I took part in an exchange tours on the mainland with some students, and I learned about a special idea. They said after they visited the red tourism spots, they'd like to write a plot so that they could stage a performance and a game. And I think to cater to the needs of young people, we can work with the Education Bureau as well as schools and roll out study routes and itineraries. We can think of interesting ways to promote these attraction sites. We can also cater to the market's needs. For example, we can make use of technology and the relevant resources. For example, we can develop an app for rural tourism. We can consolidate all these resources and mark all the landmarks and attraction sites on the app. We can tell people where to hike. We can tell them about the history of these places and tell them where to take transport through the app. We should also promote our catering industry. I was once a district councillor in Chun Wan, and there are many stories in Shamchang. There is a big country park there. It's very complicated if you want to go hiking there. There's only one small restaurant there. Perhaps we can think about how we can improve these routes and itineraries. There are very few people who are aware that there is a special kind of flower there. It's very beautiful. We should discover and develop these sites so that more Hong Kong people are aware of these places. We can also promote the handicrafts of the local people, and we can educate people about these. We can roll out more in-depth itineraries. For overseas tourists, we can promote these hidden gems so that more people know about these. I think there is unlimited potential to our rural tourism industry. We should make good use of our resources and improve our services so that Hong Kong can become a destination for in-depth tourism for people. Thank you. Mr. Poche. President, I'm happy that we have a chance to talk about tourism today. I'm happy that we have a chance to talk about this topic. I noticed that within this legislative session, this is the 7th time we talk about tourism here. In the past, there were only 2 relevant debates, and we talked about making use of the cruise terminal to develop Kowloon East as a business district. Some other sector members during the 5th legislative term moved 2 motions on long-term development of the tourism industry. And in the 6th legislative term, there was a discussion on developing tourism resources. And in this 7th term, there are 7 motion debates on this. for this legislative term, a lot of the motion debates are about culture, sports, and tourism, about the idea of tourism is everywhere, red tourism, panda tourism, island tourism. And today we are here to talk about rural tourism. I have a few observations. This kind of topic should be discussed by the Tourism Board as well as the Tourism Strategy Committee. Well, is it like what Mr. Ma Fong-kwok said, that tourism industry needs to be boosted? Are we facing a crisis, that's why we have to promote it? Or is it because we don't have other topics to talk about? Or is it because this topic is easier, that we won't touch the red line? Well, I don't have a conclusion when we talk about tourism is everywhere. Now, about rural tourism, many members have talked about the 4 trails. I'm not going to repeat the points. On the movie Naja, it was promoted around the world. I think we can do the same for the documentary 4 Trails. We don't have to spend a lot of money in order to do so. The movie 4 Trails feature both the locals as well as the foreigners. Both the locals and foreign runners competed in the same race. I think this is a very effective way to promote Hong Kong. Regardless of what kind of tourism we promote, well, I'd like to tell you about this leaflet here. I think it's about being true, being kind, and promote the beauty. Well, being true, we have to be genuine. Being kind, we have to be friendly to tourists. We have to tell them what are our appeals. The Bohemia Square in Hong Kong is very famous. It's not because of the statue. In 1997, the whole world looked at the handover ceremony, and the ceremony took place in the Bohemia Square, like Checkpoint Charlie. In Berlin and in Cambodia, we look at the concentration camps, and this is because a lot of things took place in these attraction sites. Panda, can we compete with Sichuan? How can we promote red tourism if we're to compete with the mainland? We lack the unique elements. It takes a lot of effort, but we won't be able to yield success. Well, colonial tourism, this is perhaps not politically correct. A lot of people took pictures of the McDonald Road sign. Well, there's not a lot of time left. I just want to say that we have to balance our economy as well as the price that our people have to pay. We have to treasure what we have in Hong Kong. We do not want to cause disturbances to the locals. What is more important is that under one country, 2 systems, we have to cherish the elements in Hong Kong. We have to preserve the culture and heritage here. We have to preserve the advertisement boards as well as the colonial cultural elements. It is only through this that we can continue to shine under one country, 2 systems. Thank you.
Thank Mr. Kong. This is the last time I will be speaking in this council. I am speaking after Mr. Po Tse, and Mr. Po Tse often told me not to read from my notes. And for the child abuse bill, I actually argued with Mr. Tian, and I did not read from my notes then. Now, I will heed the advice of Mr. Po Tse, the one whom I respect the most. I will not speak from my notes today. Often people say that rural areas are not worth visiting, but if members are, I want to ask if members are free, will you go to Changchou or Lamma Island? We love going there actually because it provides a leisurely environment. We can drink a cup of coffee. We can hike from Yongshu-wan to Seok-wan. I think what is important about promoting rural tourism is about the vibes. When we go to Chimsha-chur or outlying islands, regardless, we need to have the vibes in order to enjoy ourselves. So I want to say, as a LegCo member or as Hong Konger, we need to not only sell the attractions to visitors, because if we don't visit the areas ourselves, what appeal does it have for visitors? So if we have to promote the attractions, we need to first create a vision that is accepted by us first. I often think when we say promoting rural tourism, we need to be original, but how original should we be? Is there room for no change at all? I went to many rural areas in Europe, and many people like Europe's rural areas as well. It's not purely authentic. There are some works done. So I think we can have something that is akin to a balance. Say, can we have some pastel colored houses in the rural areas so that people would want to visit the location? Can the government beautify the houses on outlying islands? And we can see on Lama Island or Changchao, they have some very beautiful houses, structures, facilities. And I remember when I visited Changchao, the thing that I found most memorable was the Spanish food I had there. Some of the cuisine was not so good, but I remember how I felt. With promoting of rural tourism, we perhaps need to engage the right people, the PR companies, for example, with the funding of the government. We can have something that is renowned in the world. Say, Greece had their white structures that are well known in the world, and I think we can have colorful structures that can be attractive to visitors so that we can promote rural tourism in Hong Kong. Thank you, President. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, Mr. Chen Hok-fung, you may now speak on the amendments.
First of all, I'd like to thank 28 members who have spoken on my motion on promoting rural tourism. As I said before, nowadays visitors are not happy with traditional mode of visiting. In Hong Kong, we have rich history. We have many different stories. I thank this movers for enriching my motion, talking about four trails and red tourism, as well as low altitude economy. For red tourism, in August, the DAB made a proposal suggesting 6 red routes covering different war relics and trails. This will revitalize our historical resources. This will also elevate the level of these locations. This will be a new growth engine. Red tourism is significant in letting the world as well as Hong Kong people know about the harm brought by the war. The war relics in relation to our war of resistance get us to remember the history that is written in blood. Red tourism will attract visitors. It will also enhance the understanding of Hong Kong people on the history of war. The locations are usually in remote areas. I asked the government to improve transport network as well as improve signages. In relation to the 4 trails, in February this year, the DAB has made a proposal. This is an extension. I noticed that people are more health aware after COVID. This will bring a lot of opportunities. Say, for example, in Lantau Trail, apart from Tongchung, you don't see any buildings. You see trees, you see the sea is paradise. This will give us a chance to exercise our minds and our body. But we need to address the lack of infrastructure facilities, especially transport network. We need to make it reachable for people. Low altitude economy is a strategic new industry for our country. We see that a lot of overseas visitors are in awe of the locally developed unmanned air transportation. I saw that from social media. We can make use of this and improve our infrastructure using this. This will address the needs of road tourism. In relation to Ms. Chan Yuet-ming's as well as Mr. Michael LAU's motion, they talked about integration of rural and urban area, empowering the countryside. They aligned with what I propose. Mr. Chung-hung talked about relaxing conditions of homestay lodgings, streamlining procedures for food licensing. In 2025 policy address consultation, we made a proposal on a pilot scheme on streamlining food business application. The DAB proposes that 3-level small houses can be turned into guest houses because they are covered by occupation permit. Homestay lodgings are very different from hotels. That's why we have been saying that hopefully our proposal will be considered. We also ask for food business license to be relaxed so that visitors can stay and enjoy the food in rural areas. I support these amendments.
Under Secretary for Environment and Ecology, President, I would like to thank Mr. Chen Hok-fung for proposing the motion and the full members for proposing amendments. Earlier, members made many forward-looking and inspiring comments. In the following, I will give a consolidated response on the work of the Bureau in promoting rural tourism. On natural conservation and promotion of rural tourism. On the premise of respecting ecology and protecting the environment, the Bureau has been appropriately trying to showcase the precious ecological resources of Hong Kong to visitors while minimizing the potential impact on the environment, so as to strike a balance between the needs for conservation and development. In my opening remarks, I mentioned how Hong Kong has diversified ecological and rural tourism resources, as well as a wide range of distinctive activities that combine rural culture with the history and culture of agriculture and fisheries. We hope that the diversified choices will help divert visitors to different attractions, and that publicity and education will help visitors treasure these resources and respect the etiquette of traveling to the countryside. Some members refer to the other experiences of other regions such as Hokkaido. We have been trying to provide specific ancillary facilities in popular ecological tourism attractions. In the Northern Metropolis, we have the Sanpo-shu Wetland Conservation Park. On the premise of protecting the ecology and habitats in the area, we will suitably provide tourism facilities, including birdwatching facilities, tourist center, ecological hostels, as well as transportation infrastructure. On agriculture and fisheries, apart from developing leisure agriculture and fisheries, we are urged to promote local produce and fisheries products. The AFCD in the middle of next year will promote a unified brand and promulgate production standards to ensure the quality of such products. We will also have the AFCD expanding the relevant network for sale of such products. On 6th of October this year, at a meeting of the panel on food safety and environmental hygiene, some members have praised various local products and food made from such products. On facilitation measures, the CCO has facilitated the Lychee Wall Homestay Lodgings project at the Multi-Lam Campsite project, as well as the success acquisition of food business licenses in the cases of Kukpo and Yim Tin Zai. Through these valuable experiences and interdepartmental collaboration, the government has formulated facilitation measures for the application of guest house and food business licenses for the 92 remote rural villages. As mentioned in my opening remarks, in Q4 of this year, the government intends to promulgate the guide to application, and departments will implement the relevant facilitation measures in the guide when processing relevant applications. The CCO will continue to play its advisory role. As regards the setting up of temporary stores for selling traditional snacks in rural areas such as charcoal and simple food and drinks such as coffee, the guide sets out facilitation measures to enable interested parties in the 92 rural villages to apply for a license in a convenient manner, which allows the licensee to make and sell traditional snacks and drinks in compliant premises during the license period. Some members have made observations on the East Dam and Sharp Island. The Chief Secretary for Administration led various departments in making proper arrangements for the Golden Week, including transportation support, crowd control, order and safety, environmental hygiene, publicity and education, to provide visitors with a good experience. In general, the situation we saw has demonstrated that we have achieved the expected results. We will also enhance publicity to make sure visitors understand to exercise care with the environment, especially in the islands. Going forward, the government will continue to plan in advance of specific occasions when necessary. The AFCD is continuously monitoring the situation at popular attractions, as I mentioned earlier, reviewing their visitor carrying capacity and applying management strategies flexibly, and conducting a study to assess the need to further strengthen follow-up work in future. The study includes consideration of the need and feasibility of including some ecologically important sites under statutory protection. We will continue to promote ecotourism and rural tourism in a sustainable manner and provide a variety of nature education programs to enable visitors to appreciate and enjoy nature, and while at the same time raise their awareness of the need to protect the environment. I so submit. Thank you, President.
Undersecretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. President, I'm grateful to Mr. Chang Hok-fung for the original motion and to the 4 members for their amendments. I also thank the other 24 members for their valuable views and suggestions. Just now, the Undersecretary for Environment and Ecology has responded to members' views on issues relating to her policy portfolio. For matters that concern the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau and other relevant bureau, I'll now give a consolidated response. As stated in my opening remarks, the government will fully leverage Hong Kong's precious rural and ecological resources to provide visitors with innovative and diverse tourism experiences. We'll also take into account the need to protect natural resources and the ecological environment. Lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets. With this in mind, the government will make good use of the rich natural ecology and our historical and cultural resources in the countryside to create tourism products and experiences with local characteristics. Across various districts in Hong Kong, there are attractions that are connected to the history of our nation and the Chinese Communist Party, including the historic sites of the War of Resistance in the rural area. Since 2018, the Tourism Commission under the CSTB and the AFCD have been taking forward the enhancement of hiking trails to enhance the tourism supporting facilities of 20 hiking trails in Country Park, which are popular and with potential. The project covers hiking trails relating to war history, namely Lion Rock Historic Walk, Shingmun War Relics Trail, and Lukang War Relics Trail. In December 2023, the AFCD completed enhancement works at Lion Rock Historic Walk. The enhancement works at Shingmun War Relics Trail and Lukang War Relics Trail are expected to be done in 2026. To enhance the understanding among people of Hong Kong and tourists of the history of the War of Resistance in Hong Kong, in his 2025 policy address, the Chief Executive proposed a new red educational route under the theme of Chinese Cultural Celebrity Rescue History. This is to educate the public about the roles and deeds of people in Hong Kong and our country during the War of Resistance. The study route will include the Cham Chuk Wan Anti-Japanese Martyrs Monument in Sai Kung. Meanwhile, the tourism trade has already launched relevant itineraries and products. Visitors and local residents can join the tour groups to explore the historical and cultural routes to commemorate and learn about the history. Regarding the suggestion to establish heritage trails of the War of Resistance to promote red tourism, the LCSD will coordinate with relevant departments to provide historical materials to enrich the content. Regarding island tourism, Hong Kong and the CSTB will make good use of our resources to continue to promote island hopping tours and other water-based activities. We'll encourage the industry to develop distinctive tourism products. For example, from May to August this year, the Tourism Board launched the R2G boat tour of the Sai Kung volcanic rock region, an exclusive island tourism product for inbound visitors. It also introduced in September this year the Sham Chung and Taibo Fish Rafts Eco Discovery Tour and the R2G Sai Kung Island Hopping Tour. These enable visitors to experience Hong Kong's world-class natural wonders. The government endeavors to develop yacht tourism, will enhance amenities for the yacht industry, and promote prime yacht tourism. We will promote the synergistic development of the Guangdong Hong Kong Macau individual travel scheme for yachts. It's been announced in this year's policy address that we'll provide additional yacht berths and a series of ancillary facilities. We believe we can attract more tourists to visit Hong Kong by yachts, thereby expanding and promoting high value-added tourism activities here. In terms of docent tours, the Travel Industry Authority has already launched a docent to tourist guide bridging program and a specialized tourist guide licensing program. The former allows those who are already serving as docents in tourist attractions, museums, and education and training institutions, or have already obtained a professional docent qualification, to become tourist guides through a simplified process covering various areas of specialization. The latter targets to issue specialized licenses to tourist guides on individual areas to increase the supply of professional tourist guides. The Hong Kong Geopark has put in place a Geopark guide system to recommend to visitors trained tour guides who possess accurate knowledge of geology and ecology, as well as good guiding and interpretation skills. The TIA is working with the AFCD, which manages the Geopark guide system, to follow up on the proposal to issue licenses to the recommended Geopark guides. This is to integrate the Geopark guide system into the TIA's tour guide licensing system and enable more recommended Geopark guides to obtain tour guide licenses. The scheme is expected to be launched in the first quarter of next year. Regarding other areas such as tour guides, knowledge on culture and history, the TIA will continue to explore with the relevant professional bodies the feasibility of launching a specialized tourist guide licensing program. Apart from the above, as well as the CSTB, the relevant policy bureaus have introduced various policy measures to remove barriers and promote rural tourism and rural economy. Regarding the introduction of low-altitude passenger-carrying flights, given the skyscrapers and the densely populated environment in Hong Kong, low-altitude passenger-carrying flight activities involve high risks and more considerations compared to drone deliveries. For For the initial phase of developing the LAE, the Transport and Logistics Bureau will start with drone deliveries. Through the regulatory sandbox pilot projects, it will accumulate experience and data on, for example, the feasibility of different flight routes, infrastructure development, and technical requirements for drones. Afterwards, the application scenarios for drones will be gradually expanded to include low-altitude passenger-carrying flights. At present, many hiking spots located away from the city center are connected by well-developed public transport services and road networks. For remote rural areas, the TD has, where feasible, appropriately arranged for public transport services to take passengers to nearby locations to facilitate visitors to go hiking after the ride. The CEDB, as well as the Office of the Communications Authority, have formulated details of the subsidy scheme to extend 5G coverage in rural and remote areas. It is anticipated that upon the commissioning of all relevant radio base stations, the mobile network coverage of country parks will be enhanced to 90%, while coverage along major government hiking trails will exceed 98%. President, the work of promoting rural tourism, from conceptualization to implementation, involves multiple policy bureaus and departments. We need the active participation and commitment from the industry to speed up the implementation of the relevant initiatives. Moving forward, we'll continue to adhere to the principles of nature conservation and sustainable development to promote rural tourism, so as to realize the concept of tourism is everywhere and revitalize Hong Kong's tourism industry. I so submit. Thank you.
And I'll call upon Mr. Kenneth LAU to move an amendment. President, I move my amendment. I propose to you that the question to you that Mr. Kenneth LAU's amendment be passed. Those in favor, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Ms. Chan Yuet-ming, as the previous amendment has been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Ms. Chan Yuet-ming's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Michael Look, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Michael Look's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Perry Yu, as the previous amendments have been passed, you may move your further amendment. President, I move my further amendment. I propose the question to you that Mr. Perry Yu's further amendment be passed. And will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Chen Hok-fung, you still have 1 minute 55 seconds to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Mr. Chan. President. In the past 4 years, I served as a member of Island West. Personally, I have had experience of the natural landscape of Hong Kong, the rich culture, as well as a diversified and pluralistic environment of Hong Kong. I know that there is a huge potential in rural tourism. But we need to bear in mind that villagers have mixed feelings about it. They are concerned about the development of rural tourism on their lives and living environment. They are glad because they know that development will bring improvement in the environment as well as a boost in the economy. That's why I said in my motion that the development should involve villagers so that they will benefit. I'm honored to be the mover of the last motion of this term. I hope that legislators will continue to serve Hong Kong and our country in their new positions. I hope everyone a prosperous and bright future. I ask for your support of my motion. And I put the question to you that Mr. Chan's motion as amended by Mr. Kenneth LAU, Ms. Chan Yuet-ming, Mr. Michael LAU, and Mr. Perry Yu be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by majority of the two groups of members present. I declare the motion as amended passed. Members, this is the last council meeting of this term. We're about to end. I would like to share with you some words from the bottom of my heart. I became a legislator since 2004. It's been It's been 9 years. I'm glad that I have been with you, going through the ups and downs. I had your support so that I am the first president after the improvement in the electoral system and patriots administering Hong Kong. I have been serving Hong Kong for decades. This is the greatest honor of all. The motions discussed by members are close to the heart of the public. Some people assess the effectiveness of our work by the number of motions, questions asked, and the number of divisions. These are indicators used by some people to gauge the work of the LegCo. The LegCo is a representative of the public. The most objective assessment criteria is whether we answer to people's calls. We're by the executive-led approach. In this term, we have been working with the SAR government, working through difficult issues, the tunnel diversion, cancelling of the offsetting, abolition of arrangement of the MPF, ride-hailing, and other thorny issues. These issues, difficult as they are, have been effectively dealt with in this term of the Council. In relation to boosting investors' confidence, boosting Hong Kong's competitiveness, we have discussed a number of measures. And of course, we are most proud about working together to mark the historical significant moment to pass the national legislation, national safeguarding national security legislation that have been unresolved for 26 years. This is our constitutional duty. Had the chaos remained like it was in the past, I'm sure that these difficult issues would not be easily resolved. Even if they are being handled, they will be hindered by meaningless filibustering, divisions, meaningless long-winded speeches. The Council has now regained its rationality. Some people say that, well, without conflict, your work is easier. Those who say that do not understand the importance of a healthy interaction between the executive and the legislature. I believe that the hard work put in by members have not diminished. It's just that the landscape has turned from one that is adversary to one that is cooperative. The government, in relation to 66 bills, there are 1,800 amendments. Some are responses to members' comments. In relation to the Safeguarding National Security Bill, there are 181 clauses. The government has proposed 91 amendments. These were moved by the government in response to the comments of the Bills Committee. We work together. We support. We do not hinder. We do not make things difficult for the government. the LegCo is not a rubber stamp. The government does not have the final say. This term of government shows that it is a historic moment of positive interaction between the legislature and the executive. We work towards one goal, which is to catch up on the time lost to conflicts. We can always do better. This is our experience. We'll enhance self-monitoring. We took the initiative to improve our code and our conduct mechanism. These provide better guidance to new legislators in the next term so that they will better serve the public and better serve our country. This is a spirit of striving for excellence and change. And this spirit is also manifested in our improvement in software and hardware. In terms of hardware, usually public projects are delayed, but the LegCo project has completed 6 months in advance. So members and their support staff work in LegCo earlier than expected. They don't have to rent offices outside, which saves public money. This is the work of the LegCo Commission. In addition, we have the Secretariat, Development Bureau, as well as the Architectural Services Department are working very well together with contractors. Most important of all, we have had your support and tolerance. We have seen an increase of number of seats by 30%. The Secretariat could have asked for more funding resources and an increase of manpower by 30%. But after discussion with the Secretary General and the Deputy Secretary General, we have chosen a difficult but positive path. With the support of the LegCo Commission, work process have been streamlined, structure has been slimmed down, training has been enhanced for staff to take up additional work. Without increase in manpower and funding, LegCo continue to provide highly efficient and high-quality services to the public. The LegCo is a pioneer in building smart services. Several years ago, we have started the introduction of an intelligent transcription system, a smart transcription system. And not long ago, you see the live transcript. This has enhanced the transparency of LegCo, enabling the public to better monitor our work. In addition, we advocate Green Council. We have added charging points for electric vehicles. We have gone further in paperless processes. We don't just advocate for initiatives, we implement them as well. The Secretariat has done a lot of work. Before I say goodbye, I would like to thank the two Secretary General, the current one, Dora, as well as her team. Your professionalism, innovation, and courage are the pillars of the efficient operation of LegCo. Times are changing. Expectations from the central authorities and the public are getting higher. Pressure on the Secretariat will be increasing. I thank the Secretariat for their bravery to change and to give. I hope that the spirit will continue so that new LegCo will always be better. On behalf of all legislators, I give my heartfelt thank you to the Secretariat for the work given to us over the 4 years. They have made our work more efficient. In the past 4 years, we've seen Hong Kong changing from chaos to stability and then to prosperity. The LegCo has moved away from attrition to harmonious cooperation. This is a manifestation of our improved electoral system. We are in the face of an ever-changing environment never seen before. Hong Kong plays an important role in our national development. Our role is getting more and more important. As President Xi said, Hong Kong's unique status and advantage should be preserved and maintained. Our rule of law is something that we're proud of. We are the only city practicing common law jurisdiction. We have free flow of information capital, free flow of cultural exchanges. We are well connected to our country as well as the rest of the world. These are our unique advantages. We have to cherish them. We have to tap into the potential of these advantages. One country, two system is something that is to be implemented over the long term in Hong Kong. Officials, legislators, Hong Kongers, if they work with the mentality that they can always do better, then Hong Kong will have a brighter future. I believe that under executive-led approach, the new term of LegCo will continue to serve our country, be professional, and be dedicated to their duties. Members will be impartial with the overall interest of Hong Kong and those of our country in mind. They will work actively to provide constructive inputs, play their constitutional role well. They will all work together so that Hong Kong's unique advantage will continue to shine. They will make staunch contribution to our country. I appeal patriots and people with public that answer to the public calling to run in the new LegCo election. I also appeal to voters to vote, to return someone who is able and competent. This will give capacity for LegCo to speak good stories of the LegCo and that of good stories of Hong Kong and good stories of China. Members, I can't say that our performance has been perfect, but I can say that we have all worked conscientiously. It is clear that over the past 4 years, we have been working together to serve the public. What LegCo could not do in the past is done by this term. We don't avoid difficulties. We are pragmatic. We are innovative. We are down to earth. This is a sound foundation for the LegCo to perform even better. We have made great achievements this 7th term. We need to pat ourselves on the back. As I said, the 23rd is the lucky number of this term of the LegCo. Today is the 23rd. This is the day when we have a successful conclusion of the term. I wish you all health and prosperity wherever you are. I also wish that Hong Kong and our country will continue to prosper. After the end of this council meeting, we'll go downstairs to have a group photo taken. Meeting adjourned.